changes things. Hey everybody, this is OC down at radio station DCPLS. And we just finished our segment on Broken Families. We about to kick this new jam off the Last Saints album. It's called Broken Family. Check it out, y'all.
My household wicked. Everybody on yeah you can. Grams did her best, trying to stay strong and maintain. Sitting like she can't stress, beating it down like gang fights. The way your own kid folks treat her, it ain't right. And Karen White tripping, sin got to call. Got your soul on display, and I was sold about. Pops, why you never been there? Told me about the birds and the bees. Must don't care about it, I could've caught a disease. Cousin Pee Wee, Jesus said come back home. For you missed the boat, baby, cause we almost gone. Cousin Tanya raise her kids up in the way they should go. So they don't be like the rest of the fam, living their life for the coat. I know you stripping, making fast cash, G's getting paid, you held accountable. Leading all the ballers to the grave, get saved. Then we can stop this tragedy. Father pack a spiritual tool bag and fix my broken family. Father fix my family. Oh, what a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
Ain't got no unity.
We ain't got no unity.
Satan got us doing things. Oh, such nasty
Such
things.
nasty
I pray
things.
for my family.
I pray for my family.
Y'all forgot about the barbecues. Walk around with no shoes. Cousin Sonny and my daddy flip the tunes to the blues. Hot and sunny days, shade trees catching the breeze. Grandma got the alcohol, trying to kill up the fleas. Collard greens and beans, macaroni and cheese. Just enough to last us for the rest of the week. And now the family say that everybody deep in the sin. Seem like when we make up, we at each other again. Why can't we be friends? Uncle Bob still in the pen. Cell gate locked down, 9 maybe at 10. Will it ever end? I was young, you wanted fun. Until Dread put the gun, had me on the run. The enemy's in the cutlass right in back of me. But it was nothing but God kept it from capping me. But now we really see what life's supposed to be. Father, fix my broken family. Father, fix my family. Oh, what a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
Ain't got no unity.
We ain't got no unity.
Satan's got us doing things. Oh, such nasty
Such
things.
nasty
I pray
things.
for my family.
I pray for my family.
Sometimes I wish I never was born up in this world of shame. Demonic spirits got my pops and aunts addicted to cane. Needles to the vein, wasting their life down the drain. Somebody grab the chrome and please shoot and aim. Can't take the pain while me grandma ain't did nothing wrong. It wasn't something I said, cause it ain't even my fault. Wish I was in heaven right now with no more pain and tears. Hate to see more people struggle, barely taking care of their kids. Mama ain't mad at you, understand you was young and dumb. Got addicted to coke, I'm better off with grandma, I understand, please don't trust in the man, cause if you do, he ain't do nothing but hurt you again. To all my family members, realize Christ is king. Let's come together so we can do this thing. Father, fix my family. Oh, what a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
Ain't got no
We
unity.
ain't got no unity.
Satan got us doing things. Oh, such nasty
Such
things.
nasty
I pray
things.
for my family.
I pray for my family.
Father, fix my family. Oh, what a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
Ain't got no
We
unity.
ain't got no unity.
Satan got us doing things. Oh, such nasty
Such
things.
nasty
I pray
things.
for my family.
I pray for my family.
Excuse me, sister. Can we talk about some things?
Shout out to all my brothers and sisters out there in social media land. This is indeed a great day to be alive. It is a day that the Most High have made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. I ain't really been big on going to sleep right now, so I figured if somebody might be up, then they might be able to tune in to this message that is a tailor-made message to our light bearers. All of those light bearers are people in the world that are striving to live a righteous life. People in the world that are trying to do the right thing. And you don't have to be a religious person in order to be a light bearer. Only thing you have to do is have something down on the inside that has a great desire to do the things that are right. So, in this particular hour that we are living in, there is a massive crusade and camp out to stamp out the light bearers in this world, but we know that that just is not going to happen. No shape, no how, no form, no fashion. It ain't even possible. So we're going to keep coming with the encouraging words, dealing with our light bearers, our brothers and sisters that are striving to do what's right, whether it's you just striving to do right, what's in your family. Shouts out to y'all, praise all, honor all, glory and esteem to the Most High Heavenly Father and His glorious Son. Shouts out to you, Sister Miranda. Shouts out to you, Donna Gwen. I see you on the line. And so we need our brothers and sisters to be encouraged. And in light of some things that are happening, you know that when you're setting out to try and do the right thing, you understand there's always going to be something coming against you. It's always going to be people that say, oh, that can't be done. There's always going to be people that's finding something wrong with, well, what about this? Well, we'll start preaching the devil's what-if sermon. Well, what if this don't happen? What if that don't happen? It's all for one reason, because they want to stop the light from beaming. You see, we don't let nobody keep us in darkness. But as we said before, when we recite the scripture dealing with the good shepherd, his sheep hear his voice. His sheep hear his voice, and they will not listen to another. And when you start talking about becoming a light bearer, that means that you have to hear the voice of the Messiah. But the voice of the Messiah is not always going to be heard through things that you read out of the Bible. Because the Messiah sent the Spirit of truth into the world. And the Spirit don't operate according to words that have been written down by men, even though he may lead you to words that have been written down by men for confirmation sometime. But ultimately, the Spirit don't operate according to words. The Spirit operates according to the life that we live in, and he gives us what we need to be a light in whatever situation that we encounter at that particular moment, in that hour, at that particular arena, wherever it may be. So, to my light bearers, you got to keep on moving. Now, one of the things that we want to encourage our light bearers on is how don't ever let nobody put you in no box. Don't let nobody put you in no box of religion. When I'm saying don't let nobody put you in no box of religion, don't let nobody put you in no box of religion, of Christianity or the church, and let that become the grand sum total of the life that you live in, to the point to where now you are in a box. You can only deal with the people that are a part of the organization. You can only deal with church people. You can only deal with sanctified people or self-righteous people. You can no longer find yourself outside of those arenas. Then you've been put in a box. Don't let nobody put you in a box of Israelite heritage. Don't let nobody put you in a box to where you think that you can only have association with your Hebrew brothers and you can't interact with people that's outside of that particular thing. You see, we're going to stamp all of that out, because one of the things that our light bearers are going to have to understand in this hour that we are living in is that they have a mandate from the Messiah to go now into all the world, teaching men to observe everything that he had taught us, making disciples out of men. In order for you to be a light bearer, that means that you have to have a level of discipline even where your own life is concerned. When you are disciplined, not only are you disciplined from the standpoint of things that you shouldn't do, but you also have to discipline yourself from the standpoint of things that you are not going to allow anybody to stop you from doing. Ain't nobody going to stop me from thinking like I think. Ain't nobody going to stop me from seeing like I see. Ain't nobody going to stop me from living the life that God have given me to live. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from operating in my gift or in my craft, no matter how good it is, no matter what people think. Some people may call you a show-off. Some people may say that you think you're better than everybody. They're doing that to stop you or to try to stamp out the light. You see? You're not going to tell me that I think that I'm better. No, you think that I'm better because I am better in that particular area. No, I ain't showing off. You think I'm showing off because I'm doing what I know how to do. And I do it so good to where you just automatically think that I'm purposely trying to show off or outdo somebody. But that's not the point. The point is when you can do something, you can just do it. God gives men the gifted ability to do things to impact the lives of other people. But when you're a light bearer, you can't be ashamed because you're better than somebody else. You can't be ashamed because you know more than somebody else. You can't be ashamed because you got a better answer. You can't be ashamed of the things that the Most High have just naturally done for you. That's what being a light bearer is all about. Everybody can't be the light. Chosen people, chosen for a specific reason, have been given the light based on the choices that they have made in their lives. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things that were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made. In Him was life, and the life that was in Him will become the light that burns in men. The reason why people have light is because of the choice that they have made to accept the life that was in Yeshua HaMashiach. Everybody ain't made that choice. And those brothers and sisters that have not made that choice can't possess that light. But all those that have made that choice, they become the light of this world. So they've been given a mandate to go into all of the world and to make disciples out of men, teaching them to observe whatsoever things that they have learned by way of the Spirit concerning the life of the Messiah and His righteous way. But if you're not careful, people will try to put you in a box in order to stamp out the light. So that's what we're going to deal with. We're going to hear the voice of Yeshua HaMashiach. And I know that it's late. And that's the thing about light bearers. See, a light bearer can hear the voice of the Spirit and wake up out of their sleep to receive what's coming by way of the Spirit. A light bearer can cut the TV on and go to sleep, and that spirit can be wide awoke, digesting and ingesting everything that's being said, wake up out of their sleep the next morning knowing things that they never read in books, understanding things that nobody never taught them, because that is the purpose of a light bearer. A light bearer is attracted to the light that he carries. Now, everybody can't do that. Some people can say, oh, well, it's too late to be up on Facebook. It's too late for that, But everybody ain't like that. Some people gonna push right through. I don't care what it is. I don't care what time it is. It's going forth. The Spirit about to move, and I'm gonna be up. I might be sleepy. Let me give me some coffee. Something's about to be said that's gonna bless those that carry the light. You're also gonna understand something about yourself that you might not have understood. Why you are hated the way that you are hated. Why people seem to be so jealous of you. Why nobody applauds your success, no matter how great of an individual you are being, and no matter how great things you are displaying in this world. Why is it that nobody applauds me? Why is it that nobody seem like nobody recognize me? I tell you why. Because darkness has no comprehension of light. And the only thing that darkness want to do is stamp the light out. So why would darkness applaud you for being the light when the light comes to destroy darkness? See, darkness ain't crazy. Darkness ain't no fool. So to my light bearers out here, One of the things that we're going to do, we're going to hear the voice of the Messiah. We're going to listen to the life of the Messiah so that we can understand some of the things that's expected of us in this particular hour. There is no time in this hour to be bashful, worrying about what somebody think about you. This is the hour that I let it all hang out. This is the hour that I go around people fearless, unapologetic, and unashamed to be the person that God made me to be. This is the hour that I let it all hang out so that men can see the light that's burning on the inside. You ain't gonna make me feel bad about being who God made me to be. You ain't got to like me. You ain't got to agree with me. You ain't got to identify with it. But you ain't going to stop it. You ain't going to stop it. You see? Yeah, that's right, Captain Von Zell. But see, you've always been a light bearer. And one of the things that I tell you is that light don't have to broadcast. Light don't have to brag on itself. Light don't have to go and try to persuade nobody to come to it. The only thing that the light have to do is just be the light and then let everything else gravitate toward the light. You see, these are some simplistic principles that all of us have to understand. Light ain't looking for no justification by nobody. Light ain't looking for nobody to applaud it about how bright it is. Light don't care nothing about that superficial stuff. Light stands there and be the light and then light up the way and let all the bugs and let everything that's in darkness come out of darkness and start gravitating toward it. But God is not God's a force to be reckoned with. Can't no man mock him. If you're going to be the light, baby, you got to stand up and be the light. So when your big brother tell you sometime, just go on and sit down. Just go on and sit down. You done with, now sit down and let the light do what the light do. Sometimes we can get in the Most High's way. And the Most High allow those things to happen to us so that we can understand that sometimes it's us that's out of place. You see? That's how that go. You see? And see, these messages are personal. We ain't talking to no wicked people. We talking to the people that have a light burning down on the inside of them. Light don't have to brag on itself. Light don't have to tell nobody how great they are. Light don't have to remind nobody of the things that have been done over the years. Everything that ever gravitated toward the light knows exactly why they gravitated toward the light. But if it's one thing that'll stamp out the light can stamp itself out when it fails to understand what he really is. You see? Can't no light make itself light. God is the light of men. The Messiah, the life of the Messiah and us walking by his instruction becomes the light that burns in us. And that's all we have to do is walk by that instruction, understand who we are and do what we're instructed to do. And the light will become light to all of us. You see? You ain't never seen a light defending itself against a bug that's coming out of the dark. Light don't have to defend itself. When you turn it on, darkness had to flee. As it is with the life that we live in. We don't have to try to persuade our brothers and sisters that we are great, that we are righteous. We don't have to persuade our brothers and sisters that we know anything. Only thing we have to do is live by what we do know. And allow the light to do what it do. Let men see your light in this world and they will give your Father in heaven glory. We got too much darkness stamping the light out. And we ain't putting the light in no box. So that's the message that we're going to deal with today, hearing the voice of the Messiah. Because there's too many people, okay? You go to church, in the church, well, you got to come out of the world. Oh, they still out there in the world. They still out there. Well, the church is in the world. And if you ain't going out into the world, then you ain't doing what the Messiah instructed you to do, which is to be the light of the world. Therefore, you can't claim something that you don't have. You can never be the light when you go into places of isolation. To all of my Christian brothers, you can never be the light that the Messiah was talking about. His life ain't in you. if you have went into isolation and you can't identify with nobody that ain't up under the umbrella of Christianity or going to somebody's church, there is no way possible for you to be the light. You've had your growth stagnated. You have been deceived by an enemy who have literally destroyed your purpose in this world. You can't be the light bearer when you come to find out that you're a Hebrew Israelite, and then you cast off Christians, and then you cast off Muslims, and then you cast off everything that's outside of Israelite heritage. You can't be the light of the world when you only want to go to Sabbath day teachings and feast days and how holy days and all of these different gatherings that Israelites have. You can't be the light of the world, but you can be a liar. You can be one claiming to have light, but are in darkness yourself because you don't understand your purpose. You're in a box and you've been deceived because you ain't heard the voice of the Messiah. The voice of the Messiah didn't tell us that. The voice of the Messiah instructed us to go into all the world and teach all men. But he said, don't love with words. You teach men by a demonstration of righteousness that you have learned by having the life of the Messiah in you. You don't teach people with words. This is why church people can't deal with the average person out there on the street, because the only thing that they got is words. But the words ain't been incorporated into the genetic pattern or the genetic code of their human DNA to the point to where they can live by the words that they know without ever bringing the words up. You bear light with your life, not your words. Look at all of our brothers in our Israelite heritage. You're Hebrew Israelite. You're wearing the fringes. We're wearing our mitris. We're doing everything, and everything that we're doing, it's all in the name of being a Hebrew Israelite. It's all in the name, and God have chosen Israel, and all other nations gonna be destroyed. And this way, you know what? You in a box. And you've been deceived because you don't understand what your purpose is. And even before you ever even had any types of laws to live by, the Most High declared in Exodus 19 chapter verses 3 through 6, and thou shalt speak to the children of Israel and tell them, if they are hearkening unto my voice and obey my word indeed, they shall be a peculiar treasure unto me, unto all the nations, for all the world is mine. How you going to say that you are a light bearer claiming Israelite heritage, but you done went into isolation and you can't deal with nobody else, and you think that God only loved Israel when his original purpose for Israel was that they would be a holy nation, a kingdom of priests that would be teaching all of the nations on the planet God's righteousness. How you gonna say that you a light bearer? You ain't no light bearer. You're still in darkness. You see? We want our light bearers to understand, because it's not enough for you to understand that you're Israelite. It's not enough for you to accept the work of the Messiah, but you don't understand what your purpose is. Your purpose is, let me show you what your purpose is before you got to the mandate of Matthew chapter 28 verse 19, where he raised the disciples up, put his spirit on them, and then told them, now you go into all the world, making disciples out of men, teaching them to observe everything that I have taught you, teaching them to observe. I've given you miracles, I've given you parables, I've given you everything that you needed to be able to reach people that are outside of the place that you have been in all your life. That was their purpose. How you gonna say that you're gonna be a light bearer? You can't be a light bearer like that. When you're a light bearer, that means that God have given you something special that's supposed to impact the world. And the only thing you have to do is go out into the world and live by the things that you have learned. And when men see that, they will automatically be drawn to the light as a bug is drawn to a street light when it comes on at nighttime. You never see a bug around a light in the daylight, in the daytime. You don't even see no bug out there. But when it gets dark and the light come on, then you see all the bugs gravitate toward the light. You know why? That's because they don't want to be in the darkness. This is the issue of your brothers and sisters. They don't want to be in darkness even though they are surrounded by darkness. It's not a choice or a conscious choice that they make, that they choose darkness. Your brothers in the game selling dope on dope. Your brothers in the game toting pistols, hurting people. They move up under the cover of darkness, but that does not necessarily mean that that's where they want to be at. When the light comes on, they will come out of the darkness, just like bugs do. So, to make these points clear, we're going to go to the words and the life of Yeshua HaMashiach. You see, because on the other earlier video, when you start dealing with being a light bearer, light don't have any boundaries. Light ain't bound by religious institutions or religious organizations. Light is a spiritual thing. Light has no boundaries, and you can't cover light up. You can shut your bathroom door and the light still gonna beam through the cracks that's in the door. You will know that the light is on even if you have closed the door. I don't care. You can close the shades in your house, but from the outside, people can still see the light because the light is going to escape. This is how the life of people are that are bearing light. You can't cover it up. It ain't meant to be covered up. It ain't meant to be covered up. So you can't be ashamed of the good things that the Most High have given to you because of what people say. Oh, that's Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Oh, he think he better than everybody. Oh, he think he know everything. Oh, no, it ain't that. It ain't that you think you know everything. It's just that the God that you serve has the answer to every question that have ever been asked. And the problem was only created so that he could show you that he already had a pre-existing solution to it. So it's not that you think that you better than nobody else or know more than nobody else. It's just that the God that you serving, you know that there ain't never been a question that he didn't have the answer to. He's a possessor of all information, both past, present, and future. So you don't let nobody. So let's go look at this. Let's look at this. You see, these are some things that a lot of people are aware of, but they won't teach it. And just like I said in the previous video, if you want to see one thing piss people off, you put the Messiah in his rightful place. You put the Messiah over the Torah. Put the Messiah over the prophets. Put the Messiah over Moses. Put the Messiah over the Pauline epistles. If you want to see brothers go berserk and lose their mind, you put the Messiah. If you want to see the Christian preachers lose their mind, you put the Messiah over the Pauline epistles. You tell them, get out of here with that mess. Nobody supersedes or take precedence over the Messiah. If you want to see the brothers in Israelite heritage lose their mind, you tell them, get that Torah out of here. Nobody supersedes the life of the Messiah. If you want to see him go berserk, you put the Messiah in his proper place, because in him is where the life is. And when we accept the life that was in him, now we become the light bearers of this world. I don't waste my time trying to explain something to people that they can't comprehend. The man that sits in darkness, he don't know at the thing that makes him stumble because he's in darkness. He's in the dark. How can he see? Darkness have no comprehension of light. So you'll be wasting spit and wind trying to explain light to somebody that's sitting in darkness. So let's go look at the light. Verse 11. And Yeshua, after he had finished his study of the law, he went down into Egypt again, that he might learn the wisdom of the Egyptians, even as Moses did. Now, it say now after the Messiah finished his studying in Jerusalem, because he did say, thou shalt call his name Yeshua, for he shall save his people from their sin. So he came unto his own. And once he finished his studying of the law that the people were bound to, he said now he went and made a journey into Egypt again. What? What do they mean into Egypt again? Because you let our Israelite brothers tell it, they just completely wipe away the fact that the Messiah had his childhood and grew up in Egypt, that being associated with the Egyptians, the same Egyptians that Moses was associated with, was the very thing that saved his life. It is where he was preserved. He was preserved by a people that were outside of the people that he came to save. And it says after he finished his studies in his homeland and got an understanding of his own customs and his own culture, he took his journey and went back down into Egypt, back down into Hamitic lands, back down into the same Hamitic lands that brothers and sisters is out here talking, well, the African, he gonna be destroyed, the African, well, if God was gonna destroy the African or the Egyptian or the Hamitic people, then that don't make sense that they would be the ones to preserve the Messiah's life, and then the Most High would come back and destroy them. It said after that, he went back down into Egypt that he might learn the wisdom of the Egyptians, even as Moses did. That means that you're seeing a people that are outside of yourself or outside of what you come to know as your worldview, that possess wisdom that will further your understanding and broaden your light as it goes into the world. He went down there to learn the wisdom of the Egyptians. You see? Because light don't have no boundaries. Light don't have no boundaries. I don't have no problems, boy. I got brothers all over the world. I got brothers that are Christian, brothers that's come, that's still in church, still on the deacon board, still singing in the choir, still in the pulpit preaching. I got brothers that's Muslim, that say Allah Akbar, and God is great. I got brothers that say Shalom Alaikum. I got Islamic brothers. You understand what I'm saying? I got brothers that still steep in Jehovah Witness, brothers from all different walks of life, but we are brothers. You'll say your religion is what separates brothers. God didn't ask you to be judgmental when it came to other things that people believed in, because there are different world views in this world, and that's what we're about to show you about when you're going to become a light bearer. Light don't have no boundaries. We don't go trying to debate with people about what they believe. We go bearing light. That bearing a light is bearing a demonstration of God's power and God's righteousness amongst a people that don't believe the same thing that you believe, have not been exposed to the same thing that you've been exposed to. So it says after he finished his study of the law, he went down into Egypt that he might learn the wisdom of the Egyptians, even as Moses did. And going into the desert, he meditated and fasted and prayed and obtained the power of the holy name, by which he wrought many miracles. When you want to understand what it means to be a light bearer, you have to have some consecrated time. There is a time that you have to get all the way away from people. There's a time that every voice got to stop. There's a time that you get left alone out on a hill with just you and yourself and the Most High Spirit. And there you begin to converse with the Father in the Spirit. And there the Father begins to teach you things that man can't teach you. He said he conversed with the Most High, face to face. And he obtained the power of the holy name, by which he wrought many miracles. Everybody hear about the many miracles that he did, but they don't understand how he came to have power to be able to do miracles. To have the power to be able to do miracles and to make obstacles move and change, not just in your life, but in the life of people around you, is dealing with consecrated time. Consecrated time is when you got quiet time. No TV, no radio, no voices, no phone, no Facebook, no YouTube. Just me and the Most High. Speak to my heart, Most High. Speak to my heart about what you have for my life to do. Help me to get my life clean. Help me to get everything out of it that's not supposed to be there. Replace my old desires with new desires. He said, through that conversion, and obtaining the holy name of the Most High, which your purpose is attached to, causes you to come out the closet when you've been alone, and you're able to move now according to the things that the Most High have deposited in you without fear and without shame among your brothers and sisters. And by that standard, he began to wrought many miracles. We might not be able to tell no physical man to get up out the casket, but when you can resurrect the dead mind and a dead thinking of a brother and sister, you have done an even greater work than the Messiah. Well, that's what he said. Greater works than these you shall do. Many of the works that the Messiah did was from the standpoint of a physical standpoint, because many of the people were sick. But to do a greater work than him would be able to resurrect the dead spirit of a man and make his mind break out and make light start beaming out of him. But that's only going to come through consecrated time. That means that there had to be a dedicated time. It had to be on purpose. It can't just be by happenstance. Well, I'm bored, I ain't got nothing to do, so I'm going to read my Bible. No, consecrated time says everything got to take a backseat. I know this is going on over here, but I need this consecrated time to build myself up, so I'm going to have to pass on that. I know this seems like it's real important, but it ain't more important than what the Most High got for me. I'm going to have to pass on that. See, something about consecrated time is sacrifice time, something that costs you, something that you have to miss out on. So he said, but by understanding the power of consecrated time, then the Most High showed him things that had been previously shown to other men. And by the things that were shown in his quiet time, he wrought many miracles. That's why the Messiah said, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe you have received them, and you shall have them. But the key point is when you pray. And how do you do that? He told you when you get ready to pray, enter into your closet. And when you have shut the door, that's consecrated time. Nobody's there. He said, the God that sees you in secret, he'll reward you openly. And when he rewards you openly, you come out of your consecrated time moving in a way that you wasn't moving like before you went into it. So let's see. It says that for 7 years he conversed with the Most High face to face. For my Christian brothers, hear this and understand. This lets you know that the Messiah is not God. If he was God, how will he converse with himself face to face? I just thought I'd throw that in there. I ain't gonna get stuck right there, but you get the message. He conversed with the Most High for 7 years face to face. And look what the consecrated time, look what came out of the consecrated time. I'm telling you, you want to see something real bad, you start finding yourself with consecrated time, where you ain't talking on the phone, where you ain't looking at Facebook, where you ain't looking at YouTube, where you say, look, I don't care, I ain't got no whole lot of time, but I'm gonna sacrifice for this hour. I don't care how bad I want to look at Facebook, I ain't looking. I don't care how many times the phone ring, I ain't answering. But for this whole 1 hour, I'm just gonna sit here in this quiet place, and I'm gonna converse face to face with the Most High. Look what comes out of consecrated time. For 7 years he conversed with God face to face, and he learned the language of the birds and of the beasts and of the healing powers and of the trees and of the herbs and of the flowers and the hidden secrets of precious stones. And he learned the motions of the sun and the moon and the stars and the powers of the letters and the mystery of the square and the circle and the transmutation of things and the forms and of the numbers and the signs. From thence he returned unto Nazareth to visit his parents, and he taught there in Jerusalem as an accepted rabbi, even in the temple, with nobody hindering him. You know why nobody couldn't hinder him? The same reason why ain't nobody gonna be able to hinder you as a light bearer. When you start spending consecrated time and you ain't got nothing there and no distractions and nobody, you start paying attention to things that the average person ain't paying attention to. Because you ain't got no TV, you forced to look at the trees. Because you ain't got no radio, you forced to look at creation. You're forced to look at the animals. Because you ain't got no YouTube, you forced to look at things that are dealing or pertaining to the things that's dealing with nature. You're forced to look at all of the wonderful things concerning life when you don't have all of these distractions. And let me tell you, without consecrated time, you won't be prepared to teach nothing. But after spending 7 years alone conversing with the Most High face to face without the distractions of religiosity, religious institutions, or men and their books and all their different opinions, after being 7 years face to face with the Most High, he learned the language of the birds, learned the language of the plants, learned the motions of the sun, the moon, the star. He learned all of those things. And when we start getting ourselves to a place to where we understand consecrated time and pull ourselves away from these things, it says the same thing will happen to us. You ain't got no TV. You'll go out there in the backyard and you'll just sit out there and gaze at the stars, and the Spirit will start teaching you about these things, these entities, these great powers that govern the earth, teaching you about oxygen, teaching you about the wind, where the water come from, why is it wet. It'll make you ask yourself questions that only the Spirit can answer. Consecrated time is where you get the ability to teach the nations. You see, one of the reasons why the nations can't be taught is because we rely on books that are strictly pertaining to our customary issues or our particular culture. You can't teach the world with a Bible. There are many different cultures in this world that ain't never even seen a Bible, don't even understand the Bible. The language might be different. But when you got consecrated time and the Most High teaches you the language of the birds and the animals and the language of the wind and the language of the sun, the moon, and the stars, all of the elements of nature, when the Most High start teaching you all of these different things about how creation is balanced, how the animals balance out the icebergs on the other side of the world, how the icebergs and the sun work together to keep the world cool. When the Most High start teaching you these things, he teach you these things. You can't learn these things when you got all this stuff in your ear. 7 years. He conversed with the Most High face to face, and he learned all of these different things that men, the average men, couldn't be exposed to, because the only thing that they were exposed to is cultural things. Oh, you got to go to Sunday school. Oh, you got to go to Sunday morning service. Oh, we need you at afternoon service. Oh, you got to go to choir rehearsal. Oh, you got to go to the deacon board meeting, pastor and wife's anniversary, church anniversary, usher board anniversary. Oh, you got to go to the Sabbath day class. Oh, you got to go to the feast day. Oh, you got to keep the high holy day. Oh, you got to do. Well, see, you can't never have no consecrated time when your life is so preoccupied with all of these cultural things that you're learning. You'll never have an impact. You'll never be a light bearer to the world at large, period. You want to be a light bearer. It's going to cost you your life. It's going to cost you your life. Everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. It's going to cost you. 7 years, he conversed face to face with the Most High. The 7 years is dealing with consecrated time that you make a conscious choice to spend with the Most High, to learn what his will is for your life. He learned what God's will was for his life. After those 7 years, he went back home and then began an instructor to his people, and he taught in their temples. That wasn't his temples, because he came to save his people from their sin. That means that his people were steeped in sin up under the hands of other people. But he came by and taught those things that no man could understand. How is this that this man speak? Even the winds, even the waves obey him. What manner of man is this that speak with such authority? Look at the lilies of the field, how they do grow. I tell you the truth, Solomon in all of his glory was not dressed like one of these. Look at the birds, how they fly around every day. They don't reap, they don't sow, they don't gather together in barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. The kingdom of heaven is like a man that was walking through a field, found the pearl of great price, but he couldn't take it because the field didn't belong to him. Went back and sold everything that he had, came back and bought the field to lay possession on the pearl. The things that he didn't teach nothing that was coming out of no Torah. He didn't teach nothing that preceding him. He wasn't teaching by things that men had previously previously taught by. He was teaching according to the things that he had learned while he conversed with the Most High face to face. You talking about being a light bearer, baby. You got to be a light. If you're going to be a light bearer, your mind had to break out of this mediocre stuff. You had to understand what he understand. In him was life, and the life became the light that was in men. That's a spiritual thing. How does life in one man become a beacon of light burning in another man? That's a spiritual thing. You see, why do you speak to them in parables? Because if I told you heavenly things and you couldn't understand them, if I tell you earthly things and you couldn't understand them, surely if I tell you heavenly things, you can't understand them neither. And that's why he was able to deal with the religious leaders like Nicodemus. Are you a ruler in Israel and you don't know these things? Are you a ruler in Israel and you don't know who the earthly mother is, who your heavenly father is? And when your earthly mother, who is fleshly, and your heavenly father who is spiritual come together, sons and daughters will be born, one part flesh, one part spirit, one part connected to the earth, one part connected to the Most High. Do you not understand these things? And you are a ruler in Israel? Do you not understand that the earthly mother have angels in this world that govern the world? Do you not understand that there is an angel that governs the power of the sun, that causes us to be alive and kept every day? There is an angel that governs the power of the wind, the power of the water, that gives us oxygen, that cleanses us from both within and without. And you mean to tell me how you going to be a ruler in Israel and you don't understand these things? You see? That's what consecrated time do. Consecrated time makes your understanding go to a completely different level, because you're now conversing with the Spirit of the Most High face to face, and he is teaching you things that ain't never been exposed to no man. That's why couldn't nobody stand in his presence. And if you're going to be a light bearer, you got to know what he knew so that you can do what he did, and then nobody can stand in your presence either. So, let's continue to read. Because what we are dealing with is don't let nobody put you in a box. You can't put light in a box. You can't put light in a box. Have you ever looked at a diamond in the sun? How a diamond throws off all kind of colors. It throws off red, it throws off blue, it throws off yellow, green, and a combination of the colors all mixed together. Turquoise, purple, it throws off everything, and that's what you are supposed to be. You are supposed to be the light of this world, because this world has many cultures, many colors to be represented. And when you show up, no matter where you show up, you throw off the right beacon of light for that particular. It makes no difference whether they're Christian, whether they're Islam. All of those things are religious things. But I don't care if you went to China, the light can still jump off of you and deal with a person that don't even speak the same language as you. It says, nobody was able to hinder him. That means that couldn't nobody stop him. When he came out of that wilderness, he had a full comprehension of not just who he was, but he knew what the Father's will for his life was. And when he set out to do the Father's will, he was unapologetic and unashamed. And no matter how many threats he got, no matter how many people opposed him, no matter how many people disliked him, no man could hinder him. No man could stop him from doing what he was doing. And that's how it's supposed to be with you. You are the light of this world. No man can hinder you when you understand what God's purpose is. But there is no way for you to understand what God's purpose is unless you get alone with God. Ain't no man on the planet can ever show you what God's purpose is. He said, and at that time, and after that time, after the time that he went back home, demonstrating the power of wisdom that he learned from being in a quiet place for 7 years with no distraction. After he went back home and became an accepted rabbi teaching in their temples, after that time, this is what he did. He went down into Assyria and into India, and into Persia, and into the land of the Chaldees. And he visited their temples and conversed with their priests and their wise men for many years, doing many wonderful works, healing the sick as he passed through their countries. You see that power? You see that power? You talking about God only love Israel. God only love Israel. But the Messiah came to save his people from their sin. That means that whosoever will would be drawn to the light will have the opportunity to be saved. He didn't just come from Israel. Israel was the people that God had originally chosen, that he meant to raise up and then send them into the world to fulfill their natural born responsibility as a kingdom of priests. But notice how he went to the places that had once had Israel as captives. He went down into Assyria and went down into India and then went down into Persia. He went down into all the places that had once had Israelites as slaves, and he conversed with them. He went to the Chaldees, Nebuchadnezzar's them people. He went to all the people that had Israel once in captivity, and he conversed with their priests in their temples for many years. Oh yeah, because if you're going to ever be a beacon of light to brothers and sisters, you got to understand their mindset. You got to understand how they think. But when you've been conversing face to face with the Spirit of the Most High in your quiet place, it don't make no difference what they think, because the Most High gives you as a light bearer something that he ain't giving everybody else. In order for you to expose that light to them, you have to be able to get close enough to them for them to feel the heat, for them to see the light. So he went and he conversed with them. He didn't go to debate. He didn't go to try to persuade nobody. He went and conversed with them in their temples. Listen to what they had to say. Listen to their perspective. And what happened was that while they were talking, he was demonstrating power, healing, and doing miracles amongst their people. The priests in their temples weren't able to make sick people well. They weren't able to do those things. But he, on the other hand, didn't have no words. He listened to them. But it says he did miracles and he healed their people every step of the way. Every step. And there's more to it. And after that time, he went into Assyria and into India and into Persia and into the land of the Chaldeans. And he visited into their temples and conversed with their priests and their wise men for many. Now, how is he going to say he conversed with their priests in their temples and their wise men? I thought, well, Israel was the chosen people of the Most High. Well, how be it that there were wise men in all of these places that put an impartation of wisdom. That's why I tell you, when you put yourself in a box, you stagnate your own growth, because truth can make itself manifested in 1,000 different areas if you allow yourself to be exposed to them. A little child can teach you something that you ain't never knew before. He said he conversed with their priests in their temples and their wise men. That means that they didn't have the same cultural background, but they had God's wisdom, because God's spirit is limitless. It is boundaryless. It's aimed to reach all men that have a heart to do righteousness. And the beast of the field had respect unto him, and the birds of the air were in no fear of him, for he made them not afraid. Yea, even the wild beasts of the desert perceived the power of God in him and did him service, carrying him from place to place. Here's one of the ways that light will make manifest in your life. You know how one of the ways that life can be made manifest in your life? You know when you got light burning. You'll know you got light burning when you can get you a nut and you can call a squirrel and you say, come here, boy, and squirrel and all of his little babies come over there and then start eating. You'll know that you're a light bearer when you can go outside with some food and feed raccoons that'll just run up to you. You know you're a light bearer when you can approach the most ferocious dog barking in somebody's gate, unlock the gate, gate and tell the dog, stop all that noise, boy. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. You'll know that you're bearing light because animals don't have no fear of those that are possessing the light because they can see it. They perceive the power of the Most High. They can see it. They can see it. You still afraid of animals. You ain't got the light. You desiring it. But you want to test to see if you really got it? Because you'll know when you got it because the animals can see it. They are no longer afraid of men. Because men that don't have the light are in darkness, they are violent men. They are wicked men. They are treacherous men. And they have caused all of the animals of the world to be terrified of them. That's why most animals run from people when they see them. But when they see one that's bearing the light, that thing will come up to you in a minute. You'll be able to call that rabbit that's running through the grass. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. That rabbit stop in his track when he can perceive that light is in him. Because when you burn in light, then the animals know that the love that you have for them is the same love that God had for them when he created them and then put you over them as an overseer. You're talking about boundaries. Light don't have no boundaries. And we showing you that the Messiah didn't have no boundaries. All the way down to the animals. They could see the power of God. They could see the power of light made manifest in his life. All the way to the point to where they done him service. They carried him from place to place. When he left Jerusalem, he probably left on a camel. When he went down into Assyria, when he left Assyria, he probably got on the back of an elephant. When he left Assyria and went into India, he probably rolled on the back of a lion. When he left India and then went into Persia, he probably rolled on the back of an alligator, on the back of a tiger, on the back of a giraffe. But whatever it is, we know that he got from place to place because the animals, the love and respect that the animals had for him. And the only thing we want to do is put an animal on the plate. We want to keep putting the same animal to have respect unto him on the plate. No wonder why all of the animals are scared to death of us. We done raped and robbed and pillaged their homeland and the preserved land that the Most High have given them to build house after house, baseball diamonds, and all these type of things, golf courses and everything. We had no respect for the animals. We have burnt all the animals up through fires and carelessness. We have done all those things. We have not protected those things that were dear to the Most High, and that is a direct indication that you ain't got the light, because when the light bearers, the true light bearers of the world get light in them, when the true light bearers get light in them, then the world will be full of God's knowledge. He said, and then there won't be no disrespect of the animals because of that light. You can't put yourself in no box, light bearer. Put yourself in no box. Anywhere that people are, wisdom put forth her voice. She cries in the streets, at the gates of the city. Wisdom is there. Wherever men are, wisdom is there, putting forth her voice, crying out. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity, and you scorners delight in your scorners? How long shall you not turn at my reproof? Wherever the light is, there you find wisdom, and wherever wisdom is calling out to men. Wherever men is, wisdom is supposed to be. So if you're going to be a light bearer, you can't have no boundaries in this world. I don't care where it is. You can't have no boundaries in this world. Don't ever make nobody think that the light ain't got no place. Oh man, what you doing in this nightclub? I'm in this nightclub because this is dark and I'm light, baby. And that's why you noticed me in here. And that's why you feel like I ain't got no right in here, because you in darkness and you see this light beaming and you think that I ain't supposed to be there. But baby, that's the very reason that I came into this place. Oh, what you doing in the church? I thought you was a Hebrew Israelite. You can think what you want, baby, but I'm bearing the light of the Most High's righteousness. I don't have no boundaries. Wherever I go, the light is going to be beaming. Wherever we go, you're going to be a light bearer. You got to be prepared to do what the Messiah instructed you to do. That is to go into all the world and let your light so shine before men that they'll give your Father in heaven glory. I don't care where they come from. I don't care what they believe. I'm not going to my Muslim brothers quoting no scripture out the Bible. I know that they believe the Quran, but we got one thing in common. We both got the same father, Abraham. I'm not dealing with no Christian quoting no Israelite heritage and all of that stuff. I ain't got to do that. We got one thing in common. They both believe that Yeshua HaMashiach came to save his people from their sin. I'm not going to debate with all these people about all this different foolishness. When you start understanding the life of the Messiah and you start understanding light, when the sun jump up in the morning, it gives light to the whole world. It don't have no boundaries. It don't say because this person believed this, I ain't gonna shine over there. It shines on everybody. It shines on the just and the unjust alike. And when it rains on both. That is what it means to be a light bearer in this world. If you still to the point to where you reading your Bible and you believing and you practicing what you believe, but you get timid and you cringe all up when you go around other people that don't believe the same thing, and you can't be yourself, you can't think like you want to think, you can't respond like you want to respond, then you have allowed them to make you put your light out. You done let them snuff your light out. Hey, when you carrying the light, you go around them with boldness, unapologetic and unashamed. If you don't want to hear the answer, don't ask me the question. But if I can listen to you, then you best believe that you're going to listen to me. And whether you like what you hear or not, that's not on me. But I'm bearing a light, and I'm going to be a light bearer. That's the only thing I know how to be. And if you're going to be a light bearer, then you're going to have to learn from the one who said, what shall I say, from the one that given us the light. So you know, let's just keep it real. Darkness can't comprehend light. Darkness can't comprehend light. People can't understand what you're saying. So stop talking and start demonstrating that the light keep burning. Your words can be rejected. People can reject your words, but I guarantee you they ain't gonna deny no demonstration. I ain't got to do no talking when I get ready to do something. When I get ready to operate in my craft, I don't start talking about what I'm about to do, how good I'm at it. And no, when I get ready to operate in my craft, I'm going out there and I'm just gonna start operating. And I'm not operating based on what nobody else is doing. I'm operating because that's what's in me to do. And then that becomes light to other people. They can talk about it. You wasting your time trying to persuade somebody about how great you are. You ain't got no light. Come on, my light bearers. If you're going to be the light, let's be the light. Let's be the light. If you believe on him, as the scriptures say, that out of your belly shall flow rivers of living water. That means that there's a beacon of light that's just going to burst out of you. Everywhere you go, light. Everywhere you go, light. Some people gonna love it because they get to come out the dark when they see it. Oh, we glad you showed up. We glad to see. Some people gonna hate it because they lose their grip on everything that's in the darkness. But either way it go, the light can't be no more than what the light is. When the light show up, when the sun show up, darkness got to flee. Darkness got to flee. It ain't coming back no more until the light leaves. So darkness, you can have your way until the light bearers show up. And that's how we have to approach the things in this world. We have to understand that there is a place for darkness, but those that sit in darkness, they must see a great light. That means that there can't be no isolation. You have to be built up in your faith, built up in your spirit, and that's the purpose for consecrated time, so that you can prepare yourself to start moving into places of darkness, that your brothers and sisters can see the true light. And God can be glorified, because that's what he said. Let your light so shine before men that they'll give your Father in heaven glory. And you can't do that with lip service. You can only do that by action and demonstrating. And if you too timid to let your light shine and let the real person that you are on the inside come rushing out like a flood. If you too timid, if you worried about how people gonna think about you, how people gonna feel about you, who gonna run off and leave you, then you can't bear the light of the Most High. You ain't worthy to bear the light of the Most High, because light runs things that are unrighteous away from you. And anybody that will run off and leave, anybody that would turn their back, anybody that would look at you crazy, talk about you or anything, they supposed to be disconnected from you. That's why God give you the light in the first place, because can't nothing unholy or unrighteous connect itself to the light. So if you're going to be the light bearer, then you be the light bearer. And you make the Most High Heavenly Father proud while you go out into the world, operate according to the one who had life in him. Peace and blessings.